Welcome to episode 2, Ironman Prep, ahead of the World Champs. This episode, we are getting into the foundations of building out the training plan. I'm going to show you exactly how I have structured my 12-week block ahead of Ironman World Champs in Nice. But I realized we got to start by hanging up a new medal. The nation's toughest marathon, Leadville Trail Marathon, went down this weekend. So let's go ahead and throw this up, and then we're going to talk about what we're doing today and how it's fitting into the overall plan. All right, boom. So let's get into what we are doing for training today. Big win on process. We got the heart rate strap back in action. And today's training, so I am now 2 days removed from the Leadville Trail Marathon. Now, this is one of the secrets of triathlon training, is that you got a lot of options to stay moving the body if you need a little bit of rest on whatever the sport of your race just was. So for me, big running race, and I got a lot of muscular fatigue that's lingering. My quads are still super sore. I'm hobbling a little bit when I'm walking. But I got the option to ride. I got the option to swim. And yesterday, I did a little ride with Jack on the shotgun seat of my gravel bike, and I got in the water for like a 20-minute swim. Today, same deal. I did a 30-minute swim this morning, super easy, super light, just really moving the body, getting some blood flow, and that will be the goal for today's ride as well. Targets for today's ride. I want my heart rate average to be under 100 beats per minute. I am literally just looking to be spinning out there. I want my RPMs to be over 90, and we'll see where my watts fall. I think that my watts should probably be below 120 average. But we will see where all that comes into play. Got a nice day here. I got about an hour and 10 minutes before my next call. So I'm going to jump into this and we will get moving. Let's go. All right, so we are about 25 minutes into this ride here, and I wanted to drop in with a quick tip. This is the most important thing for somebody transitioning from strength to endurance needs to understand. I coach a lot of guys in that spot, and that is the evolution that I made as well. Used to be a gym bro, then got into endurance. And the biggest shift that you got to make is the shift from working out to training. And my week this week is a perfect example. Just ran this Leadville Trail Marathon, and this week is 100% about recovering and setting next week up for success. Next week for me is going to be a 15-hour week. And so very often the old strength mindset views a workout from the point of, was it successful? Did I sweat? Am I sore? Do I feel like I'm a little run down and tired? Like, those are the indicators of pushing yourself. And in endurance, you got to flip that around, right? And this ride right now is another really good example. Recovery ride. The goal is super low heart rate, but I am still able to work in aspects of development that will keep me moving forward as well as set me up for success next week. Two things going on right now: the high cadence, same with the Zone 2 ride that I did in episode 1. That high cadence is training neuromuscular development. It's helping with my recovery because it's kind of flushing my legs out, but it's also really subtly training technique. Now, also, the second thing I have going on is that I have sprinkled in some single leg drills. I'll drop in a little video here. Single leg drills are one of the #1 ways to spot inefficiencies in your pedal stroke. And so very often, beginner endurance athletes have gaps where they're losing tension on the chain. And these single leg drills really expose where that's happening, and they teach you to keep steady and consistent tension on the chain the whole time. One of the big mistakes that I hear from strength guys getting into endurance when they first start clipping in with clipped in pedals is they talk about wanting to pull up with their hamstring. They really want to yank from the back, right? And then they're pushing forward, and it's like this really herky-jerky thing going on. And in reality, what we want to have going on is we want just steady tension the whole time through the whole pedal stroke. We want to be engaging the hamstring on the backside for that pull-up, but it shouldn't be too rapid and forceful that it's disrupting your overall tempo and rhythm. You want to stay nice and connected, and these single leg drills, this high cadence stuff, it really helps with that, while at the same point, if I'm out here just looking to get a hard sweat in, like I'm going to be digging myself into a hole coming off of this trail marathon, and I am not going to be able to have a quality 15-hour week next week with high intensity intervals. So the transition from working out to training and defining new metrics of what a productive session is, huge mental unlock for the strength athletes transitioning to endurance. Let's get back to it. Back, successful recovery ride. Let's check in on the total stats here. We got the new Coros bike computer, very, very crispy. Really pumped with these data screens. Okay, what do we got? We got 1 hour and 46 seconds, 1 hour on the dot, 16.14 miles, 15.9 mile an hour average. Let's get to the important points. The points that we called out earlier. We wanted to be under 100 average heart rate. We wanted to be over 90 average cadence. And I was hoping somewhere below 120 average power. Boom, let's go in reverse here. Average power, 102, smooth. Average cadence, 93, love it. Got that neuromuscular training, that technique development. Now for the moneymaker, here we go. Average heart rate, 99. Boom, nailed it. Was able to work in a little bit of drill work with the single leg drills, that high cadence neuromuscular development. Successful recovery ride on the mission of being set up for success next week. Let's go. All right, so I got another tip to drop in here. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see from beginner endurance athletes is that their gear is a mess. It takes them 15 minutes, 20 minutes to just find their stuff before they head out the door for a training session. And then the idea of riding for an hour is like super overwhelming. And so to me, I've gone through that and I found a solution. We got very simple helmet rack here on the garage wall. All the helmets go right there when we're done. And then for me, shoes every single time right there on the shelf. Bike is racked right here. We got other bikes set up over here. Very important to make it easy to start. Got to keep it clean and organized. All right, now before we get into building out the exact 12-week build that I'll be going through, I want to give you guys the 3 steps to doing this on your own. This is what I'm about to take you through for myself, but I want to give you the steps to start. Step number 1 is mapping out your total life commitments that are going on in this prep. That could be other races, that could be family plans, travel, work commitments. You want to get that out on the calendar, and then that's going to lead into step 2. Step 2 is the most important part. This is where you are defining your key training blocks. What we're looking for are 2 blocks of time that might be 3 or 4 or 5 weeks each. And these are going to be the areas where we insert your specific work building towards this race. Now, step number 3 is going to be mapping out how you can front load training on weeks when you've got big weekend plans and creating space to flex training as needed. The goal here is that once you map out your commitments, you define the key training blocks, and you front load and flex, this is where it's going to all come together so that you can play life on offense and effectively insert this build into your life without always feeling like life is pulling you in a million different directions. All right, we are breaking out the whiteboard to walk you through my exact strategy on building out my Ironman build. And this is going to be different than anything you have ever seen before. I can guarantee that. What I have found coaching over 100, probably 150 athletes across 70.3 and Ironman finish lines, doing 5 Ironmans myself and a whole bunch of other big builds, I have found that the idea of the 12 or 16 week stair-stepper progression, life doesn't work like that. I got a 2-year-old kid, I got a wife, I got social plans, I got travel, I got a business I'm running, I got a whole ass life. And for the everyday dude, they're in the same boat. And so to me, what I have found more effective than just mapping out this natural progression is first outlining what I have going on in life. That can include other races, that can include travel or family plans. And once you map that out, the plan starts to reveal itself where you've got key windows that you can insert really specific blocks of training, and then recovery weeks can be stacked in. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So on this whiteboard here, I have got a full 12-week outline of my Ironman World Champs build, starting with the Leadville Trail Marathon. That is June 23rd. Going all the way down through race week on September 8th. Now, let's take a look at what we have going on here. So this first week, this Leadville Trail Marathon, this is a huge effort, right? I just took that thing down. And so in order to stay healthy and be able to do the key training in the remainder of the build, I need a week here of being cautious and recovering. So all of a sudden, 2 weeks, right? If I'm thinking about a stock Ironman plan and not considering everything else that I'm doing, those 2 weeks are already out the window, right? But instead, I can weave them in, and now what do we see unfold? Now all of a sudden, I have got a 3-week block here that becomes a really key window where I can insert key training. I'm going to insert a 15-hour training week with race specifics related to my rides, going on big, long mountain rides, and including intervals, right? So I'm starting to work in really the meat of this build. Then in the week after that, I've got a local sprint that I'm doing, and so the note that I make is to front load a lot of my endurance work. Within these 3 weeks that you'll see here, I've still got high volume, I've got race specificity training, and I've got high intensity interval training, but I'm starting to weave it all together, either with 15-hour week, the race specs on their own, and then intervals on their own, or this local sprint try, which will take care of some race execution and some interval training, and I can front load the zone 2 work. Well, now all of a sudden we've got a third week here that gets to be 15 hours, more race specs, more interval training. And then the following week, I've got a team event here in Colorado for Team Tribal. And so to me, I'm going to front load a lot of that endurance work in the earlier part of the week and not worry about that weekend needing to be specific training. Okay, so now all of a sudden in the first part of this build, let's look at what we've got, right? We got key window up there, big effort, big trail race, recovery week, 3-week build block, and then this isn't necessarily going to be a recovery week, but from a high intensity training standpoint, I'm not going to overload my body with key intervals. All right, so that is phase 1 of this build. Let's now look at phase 2. All right, so before moving on to phase 2, let's look at this first wave here. So this was a 6-week block, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's really got 3 key weeks of training. Now, everything else is still working on the fundamentals and the foundation of getting me fit and durable and healthy and on my way to this race. But it's not just this natural stair-step or progression, because it's actually fitting with what I have going on in life. Well, now let's move on to this next phase. Now, all of a sudden, I have noted when I am 4 weeks out from travel. That's not 4 weeks out from race day. That's 4 weeks out from my travel week. My travel week is going to be down here at the end of September 1st week, and I want to make sure that I'm rested and healthy. I'm going to be taking a long-ass flight all the way over to France, and if I am really run down going into that travel, I'm going to be screwed and digging myself out of a hole. So I'm now starting to see, right, I had this 3-week block that revealed itself up here, and now all of a sudden I've got a 4-week block that's revealing itself down here, right? This is August 4th, August 11th, August 18th, and August 25th. Now for me, I want to be able to repeat these 15-hour weeks, and I want to start to insert some really long swims that will prepare my body metabolically for the demands of the race. I'm also going to continue to do the bike training that's relative to climbing and taking down this 10,000-foot climb of a ride. Also going to include some intervals, I'm sure, at that point. But the key here is margin. Right? The margin in these 2 weeks is, hey, if something doesn't go to plan in this first phase, we've got opportunity to move it down and still get it in ahead of the race, where we're not rushing for it in these final weeks when we really want to prioritize getting rested and being healthy. So that is really how I think about it. That is how I've taken this, and I have broken this down from a full 12-week vision to, okay, now all of a sudden it's basically hard effort here, boom, we'll star that. Now all of a sudden we got 3 key weeks right here. 3 weeks right there. Again, almost like a recovery in a sense. We'll note that. Almost a recovery week. Front load the zone 2. Team event. I'm going to be a little tired probably from running around so much and doing different stuff, but it's not going to be like a hard interval week. Now all of a sudden we got the next 4-week block of training that includes a little bit of margin here, depending on what evolves in this plan. If anything reveals itself that I got to work on, whether it's from the race specs, the intervals, different styles of fitness that I want to develop, different strengths I'll need for the race, anything that reveals itself in this local sprint, we've got opportunity to flex the plan as needed. So that is how I recommend going about building out your Ironman training plan and actually making it flow with what you have going on in life. If I just sat here and didn't consider the Leadville Trail Marathon, the local sprint, the fact that I got a team event, the fact that I'm traveling to the other side of the freaking world, like a 12-week roadmap would not just plug right in. So that is how I think about it. All right, so next to the Leadville Trail Marathon medal, I realized we got the Ironman Chattanooga medal. And that hit me that I haven't told you guys how I qualified for Ironman World Champs. So it was Ironman Chattanooga 2024, last September. It was my 5th Ironman, and I was super strategic with how I chose to do that race. My first 4 Ironmans were all on relatively flat courses. Ironman Indiana, Ironman Texas, and 2 times at Ironman Florida. And I was starting to realize that I'm a little bit of a bigger dude when it comes to triathlon and triathlon frames. I'm like 175 pounds, 5'11", and I started to see that on these flat courses, some of these triathletes that are like 155 pounds, like, I just don't have the speed yet to keep up with these guys and place well in my age group. And so I started to look around and I'm like, how can I pick a course that's a little bit hillier, a little bit more challenging, and might set me up to have my durability and my strength really shine bright? And that is exactly how it unfolded at Ironman Chattanooga. Super hilly bike, like 4,000 plus feet, and really, really hilly run. And I ended up coming 10th in my age group, grinded out all the hills, running my ass off up the bridge to finish this thing out. I'll have to drop the video in here.
Full gas, dog.
And I came in 10th, my best age group ranking of any Ironman that I'd done. And my age group got 9 slots to Ironman World Champs. Now, how'd I get a slot if I was 10th and there were only 9? Well, I went to the awards ceremony and I knew that, listen, as long as one of the top 9 does not accept their slot, I'm sitting on deck and I will get that role now. And so I went to the awards ceremony. They called out the dude who won my age group and he was not there to accept his slot. So he either already accepted it from a prior Ironman that he did earlier that year, or he just wasn't going to go to Nice for whatever reason. And so right away I knew, boom, I'm on deck. I got that slot. And when they called my name, I accepted it. Boom, accomplished the 5-year goal. All right, final step. Let's punch through on this process. So now we have revealed the 2 key blocks within this build where the focused work is going to be happening. Of course, the whole build is going to be moving us forward towards race day, but we want these 2 key windows at a time. Now, within those windows, this is what we insert, right? This is what we're prioritizing. For me right now, this is more volume, right? I'm not doing 3 and 4 and 5+ hour rides year round. So I got to get the metabolic, the aerobic benefits so that I can push for the whole duration of this race, right? I need volume. Number 2, race specs. So for me, I've been talking about the climb of this ride, right? 10,000 feet of climbing in the Nice bike course. I got to get climbing that's going to prepare me for that. I got to do climbing segments that are going to have me at zone 3, zone 4 power late in rides so that I am prepared for the race day demands. And then number 3, interval progressions. I will talk to you in the next episode on the specific interval progressions that I am choosing to go through in this race prep. But what we want to think about are these 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks of stacking intervals that build on each other week over week. So we're getting aerobic benefits from all the volume work, we're getting tactical benefits from the race spec training, and we are getting huge fitness boosts from the interval progression. That is how we punch this whole thing through and wrap it up. Thanks for being here.